just gonna hit record. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sellerscale show, where we bring in experts from the Amazon space to help you bridge the knowledge gap and increase your odds of success. Our guest today is Jason Boyce. He's the founder and CEO of Avenue 7 Media, an Amazon product listing optimization agency. And today we'll be discussing why the next billion-dollar brand will start as an Amazon or Instagram seller. And I hope you can make that happen for you too. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Sergey. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I have a lot of high quality questions that me and my team came up with. But I just want to start off with, can you tell us about your first business? Because you started a sporting goods e-commerce business a while ago, right? Do you mind sharing with the audience how you got started with that and e-commerce in general?
Sure, absolutely. I was leaving the Marine Corps, and my brother had this idea to start a company, and he said, we're going to sell basketball hoops online. So this was 2002, and he goes, and I've already got the name, and the name was superduperhoops.com. And I thought, that's brilliant. Yes,
right.
I was like, I get out of the Marine Corps in 45 days. I'll have my last check. Let's do it. and that's how we started. We started a drop ship business. We started cold calling all the manufacturers of basketball hoops in the United States. Ari had met a friend. He was waiting tables at the time. He had met a friend who found out how to drive traffic with a company called Overture. So here's our history lesson for the day. Overture was one of the founding inventors of pay-per-click advertising.
Oh, wow.
It later they had a tiny office in Pasadena. We used to go there every other month, and we were driving traffic to our website that my little brother, who was in high school, built after school. He was a programmer, like a sophomore in high school. And so he built the website. We worked with Overture, and we were paying a nickel a click with this brand new technology called pay-per-click. Later on, Overture got bought by Yahoo, which was still a huge e-commerce engine at the time, a search engine. And then later that technology was licensed by Google. Google perfected it and turned it into AdWords. And so that's how we got started. We were drop shipping. We built a website. My brother's girlfriend, now his wife, did the first design. My kid brother did the website design, and we were driving traffic to our website at a nickel a click. It was really good times.
Yeah, and it was in 2002, right?
2002, that's right. And then, fast forward a year later, we're above the fold on almost all of the search engines at the time because of our, connections with friends at Overture in Pasadena.
Right.
And Amazon called us. They literally picked up the telephone and said, "Hey, Jason, we saw that you guys have good search results, and we want you to sell your basketball hoops on our website." And I said, What are you talking about? You guys sell books. What do you mean? That's how long ago, right? 2003. And so the guy's like, yeah, no, I've spun up a team, and there was no team. It was just him. And he had a couple of engineers that's built up the functionality for the sports and outdoors category.
Right.
And then, within a couple of months, we were selling on Amazon. And life was good. We were doubling in revenue every year for 4 or 5 years in the early days.
Wow. That's great. And if you're launching, it was Dazati, right? The name of
it. Yeah, we pronounced it Dazati, but we used to say we didn't care what you called us and how you pronounce it as long as you bought from us.
Right. And if you're launching Dazati today, what would you do differently? What are some of the things that you would do differently?
Well, ironically, I would start as my own e-commerce website. We had to build everything from scratch back then, Sergey. I'm dating myself. There's so many SaaS software systems out there now that are incredible. And I would start a Shopify site. I would plug in as many apps as I need to. I would plug into Sellerscale, for my visibility, right? To be able to manage my sales and profitability. We had to build all that functionality out ourselves. I would start on social media, and I would do a monthly giveaway of one product to get email lists. And I would send out emails and build my email list and email sequences in order to drive sales and customers, an initial group of customers, right to my website.
Okay.
If I had the bandwidth, I would also launch on Amazon. And this is why. Amazon, I believe, is still the greatest way to find out whether your product is any good or not.
Right.
Because they have the biggest product review network out there.
Right.
certainly in the United States and the EU, and you get a lot of honest feedback about whether your product is good. Additionally, on Amazon, if you have an idea for a product, there's a lot of software tools out there that you can use, and you can look at your competitors or who will be your competitors and find out an estimate of how much they're doing in sales, how much they're selling every month, and then also, whether they're any good at it by reading their product reviews.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And,
And
and
you can
so
actually use some of their pain points, and you can use them to differentiate.
100%. I used to do that all the time. We were in the home rec space. We expanded from basketball hoops into the home rec space, and we'd read before we launched a new product. We'd only read the bad reviews, really, of all of our
Yeah.
competitors, and then we would take that to the product design team, and we'd say we got to do better than these guys, and then we would work with the factories and the engineers, build a better mousetrap, and then when we did the listing, we would tell them why ours is better. And so then, right in our bullet points and our infographics, we'd be telling everyone why our product doesn't have the same product as everybody else's from those one-star
Right,
reviews.
right.
And, just sort of the rest was history there.
And it's funny that you mentioned that today you'd start with a Shopify store, whereas a lot of sellers today don't even bother building their own website. They start on Amazon, or if you're blogging, for example, you're starting on YouTube or Medium.com. You're not creating your own blog. Do you have any thoughts on that? Whether you should use a platform, basically rent space, or create your own asset on the web?
Oh, you should absolutely rent space right now. It's so cost effective. Take
Right,
it from me. Take it from me, a guy who had a big design development software team for almost 20 years. It's really hard, right? When what you don't think about is you look at a problem and you say, hey, I could hire an engineer to develop my own software to do X. Okay, great.
right,
Then you build it and then you put it out and you start using it in the real world and you realize all the things that you forgot. So then
right,
you have to do almost 3 times more development time to get it right. Then once you get it right and you start to scale your business and more resources are being asked of this software system, you have to manage that software in addition to that. So it's not so simple as I have an idea, this is what the user interface would look like. The stuff that's under the hood of the user interface takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. And I'm telling you, we built our own software, we built our own ERP system, warehouse management system, channel manager, our own front end and back end website. I mean, I would never do that again. I would never do that again.
Interesting, interesting. And at what point, I mean, you had this e-commerce business, right? You're doing great. At what point do you decide to transition from being a business operator, an e-commerce business operator, seller, essentially, to helping other people grow their businesses?
Oh, great question, Sergey. So my brothers and I founded the business. There were 3 of us, and we'd been working together for 17 years. And we sat around at the table and we looked at each other and we said, I love you guys, but I'm sick of working with you. Let's sell this thing. And it was as easy as that. I mean, we said, yeah, you're right. Let's sell this thing. Let's sell the company and let's go our own way. And, before we got to that moment in time where we all decided to sell the business, and we did that about a year and a half ago. Um, I had been lucky enough to be asked to speak at events like the Prosper Show for Amazon sellers and be
Right.
on panels, and then the Internet Retailer Show asked me to speak about certain topics, and I really
Right.
loved doing it. And
Hmm.
I realized that I loved sharing the knowledge that I had learned both in e-commerce and on Amazon the hard way with others. And after, how it is at those shows. After you're done speaking, a flock of people will come up and start asking
Yeah,
questions,
absolutely. Yeah.
and I just loved the questions, and I loved being able to help those folks who were struggling in the same ways that I had previously. So I learned something about myself even before I sold my first business, which was you should do this. and
Mhm.
and so I began helping just for free, and then ultimately as a side gig as a consultant, helping advise other friends that I'd met at these various trade shows. And then when, of course, we sold the business, it was a no-brainer for me to spin up, Avenue 7 Media and do this full time. And I tell you, I love what I'm doing. I just love helping others, and
Great, great.
it's a lot of fun.
Amazing story, Jason. And I went through your website, and there's a quote attributed to you on your company's website. It says, "The next billion-dollar brand will start as an Amazon or Instagram seller." And I know that we just briefly talked about it, but do you mind sharing your thoughts with the audience on what do you think that is, and what makes these particular platforms so important to today's e-commerce ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with the way things were 25 years ago.
Sure.
If you were a product company, you would spend millions of dollars developing a product, and then you would spend another $1 million on a focus group that didn't
Right.
work because no one in that focus group had paid their real money to buy the
Absolutely.
product,
Absolutely.
right? So they were giving a lot of fluff just to get their $100 or $50 check and move on. And then you would put it out into the wild. And into the wild in those days was a retail chain store, and you had a relationship with buyers, and you would pay for end cap retail space, and then you would spin up a $50 million TV ad campaign. So it was possible, and there were no product reviews, right?
Right.
There was just TV, and there was end cap space, and there was great visibility of your brand and your product. And so it didn't have to be that good. A mediocre product could succeed 25, 30 years ago if you had a Procter and Gamble backing it with $150 million in cash.
Right.
Not so anymore. And why is that? I mean, go to Amazon, and what's the first thing you do when you're searching for a product? You look at the reviews,
Right.
and you read. If you're like me, I read the bad reviews because I want to know, if whatever was upsetting this customer is going to upset me. But I try to find one that has a lot of reviews, maybe 20 to 100 or more, and I like to find one that's more than 4 stars.
Hmm.
And then you think you're good. The trust, the barrier to entry for the trust of a product now lives on product reviews, whereas before they would just hammer you with TV ads constantly until you felt like it was a comfortable brand. And so
Right.
that's what you get on Amazon. What you get is a direct one-on-one relationship between you, your product, and the end user who actually paid real money to buy it and has used this thing.
Right.
And so that didn't happen before. You'd have you'd have a sales rep and you'd have a buyer, and neither one of those people were users of the product. So
Absolutely.
the buyer, and it happens today, right? This is part
Right.
of the reason why I think brick and mortar retail chains are so bad. The
Hmm.
buyer, they're not interacting with the product. They're telling the seller to do things and amend the product based on what knowledge? None. Their own opinion, and that
Right.
opinions don't work. And so that's the main crux behind the issue is when you have an Instagram, if you're selling on Instagram or you're selling on your own site or you're selling on Amazon, you're going to get real customer feedback. And if you're smart, you won't take that feedback personally. You'll listen, you'll try to pay attention, put yourself in the shoes of your customer and say, yes, this is a problem, and I'm going to do my best to fix it. And as soon as you do fix it and reintroduce that product with version 1.1 or 1.2, you're going to see this thing take off.
Yeah, I
And
love that. Interesting. And how do brick and mortar brands and stores that still have this omni-channel approach, how do they use this phenomenon of reviews on Amazon to enhance their products?
well, it's funny. I stopped selling to retail buyers a long time ago
Hmm.
because, our sales were smaller when we were selling direct, but my profits were bigger. And this interaction between the customer and our product was really valuable. That's how you make great products. And so I fired a lot of buyers. We sold to regional sporting goods stores. We sold to Walmart. We sold to Big Five Sporting Goods, a big chain in the West Coast. Models, you name it, we sold to them. And then at one point, we just fired them all because
Hmm.
I was having to make adjustments to products that the buyer wanted, and the buyer didn't really know. But I do have clients that also sell to buyers right now in the big retail chains. And guess what those guys do? I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to they pull up their Amazon app and they see if you're on Amazon and they're reading the reviews,
Right,
right?
right, right,
I mean, a smart buyer, that's what they're doing. If a
right,
buyer thinks he's so smart that he can figure out exactly what his customers right, he's not a very good buyer, in my opinion. So
right, right.
I think everyone is benefiting from this, enormous amount of customer-driven feedback that's driving customer-driven innovation. And if you're
Yeah.
not doing that, you just can't build a better mousetrap. It's just not possible.
And it seems that for brick and mortar, the only option available is to create not stores, but showrooms where you can touch and feel the product. Because that's one thing that e-commerce lacks, right? You cannot touch the physical product. But if you have like a place where you come and you see the product, and then you go and buy it on Amazon or somewhere else or on the website, it makes sense, right?
Look, brick and mortar chain. You know who's gonna solve the brick and mortar problem? Tech companies.
Right.
Amazon built a shopping mall, or a shopping
The
center
Amazon Go
in
and all
Los
those. Yeah.
Angeles. Yeah, beyond the Go, they built a real grocery store, a legitimate grocery
Right.
store. You walk in, you put your stuff in your cart, and you walk out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and and they'll help you find what you need, right? I was in
Right.
the grocery store, the stop and I call it, I joke, it's the stop and shop, stop and rob as I joke. But I go to the stop and shop here in New Jersey, and I can't find anything. It's a big square footage store, and I'm frustrated. I got to walk up and down 4 aisles to find the thing that I need, and then I get there, and that's the spot where it should be, and it's out of stock, or it's not the right brand that I want,
Right.
right? And I'm
Right.
like, this is miserable. And then I have to stand in line, and then I have to wait for someone who's behind the cash register who's really unhappy that they're there and not doing something else, and
Right.
wait for it's a miserable experience. I
Yeah.
remember going to a Macy's store. This is the last time I stepped foot in a Macy's store. This was 3 years ago. I went in, I had a very specific thing. I'm looking for your brand sales rep of t-shirt. I want a package of t-shirts that's your branded t-shirts. I like them. Where are they? And they're like, geez, I don't know. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? You don't know where they are? This is like a 10,000 square foot store. You can't point me in the right direction. You can't walk
Right.
me there. And I said to the lady, I said, look, I know this isn't your fault. You got bad management, but I'm never going to step foot in another Macy's store. And I haven't to this day. But it's like, the
Crazy.
convenience. And one of the things that Amazon has done so well, they remove every barrier or speed bump or roadblock on the journey to purchase your product.
Right.
And that's what brick and mortar stores don't get. And you know, it's funny, we've worked with Walmart.com on their marketplace. We were one of the first folks to be selling on the Walmart marketplace years
Okay.
ago. And they hired a bunch of people that had brick and mortar store experience, and they were trying to put a round peg in a square hole. They were like, oh, they were trying to use their same tactics that worked in a brick and mortar store online. And I was like, you guys need to forget every single thing that you learned in the store
Yeah. It's a different context. It's a
and
different
go
world.
shop on Amazon and then come back and ask me for what you need from me. Right?
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking about your agency, right? It seems that you guys are clearly broader than just another PPC management or listing optimization agency. That are a lot in there, right? There are a lot of agencies out there, and I'm curious to know what makes your approach unique. And I read about your 7-step process. Do you mind sharing with the audience what that means?
Sure. So we have this process that I learned through, I call it the School of Hard Knocks on Amazon. We go through this process where we do our research, we do our homework. If you're a brand and you come to me, Sergey, and you say, hey, Jason, I want to sell on Amazon. What do you think about this product?
Hmm.
We'll do our homework. We'll take a look at, we'll find out if there's a market. If there's a market for it, we'll take a look at the competition. If there's an opportunity for us to offer a better mousetrap, if you will, that compared to the competition, then then we'll go into the next phase of our research, and we'll start identifying the highest volume, most relevant keywords. Right. The
Right.
next phase, we'll start to create that copy and placement of the SEO portion of it. But here's where it's different, and I have to credit my good friend Rick Cesari, who's a marketing legend, launched billion-dollar brands like the George Foreman Grill,
Yeah.
GoPro cameras. He and I both lived in Seattle at the same time, and we used to have Friday coffee. And he taught me this. We work on the creative portion, and what we do on the Amazon listing or the listing on our customers' websites is to answer the question, what's in it for the customer, right? What is the customer going? What's the benefit that this customer is going to receive? And Rick says this all the time: features tell, benefits sell. And when he
Right.
taught me that, it was like such an aha moment. Because we were selling air hockey tables, and we were talking about how strong the blower motor was, right, to blow
Right.
air.
Right. But that's not
And
the point, right? Yeah.
nobody cares about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know when our conversion rate quadrupled? When we started to say, bring friends and family together.
Oh wow.
That's the benefit. You see the difference? We
Yeah.
were talking
Absolutely.
about specifications before, many of times that the customer didn't even know what it is. But what we really brought to the table was, hey, play with your son, play with your daughter, play with your sibling. We're about family time. That's what you get when you buy a Harville product, for example, right?
Right.
So
You're
that's our secret
you're not
sauce.
selling the drill. You're selling the holes in the wall, right?
That's right. I'm selling the experience, and I'm telling them what the experience they're going to get when they buy this product. We've got a really great graphic design team and video editor team, and we like to say, and I borrowed this from another friend as well, but we like to say those additional images, they look like high gloss magazine ads.
Right.
We want to be distinctive. We want the customer to know that we're about providing an experience for you that is above and beyond anything else that you're going to find on Amazon or elsewhere. So that's
Right.
part of our process. And then I skipped a couple of steps, but the most important part is launch, listen, and learn. After we do all that homework, and after we identify what's great about the product, and after we tell everyone about what's great about the product and what they get, that's when we put it out into the wild and we sit and we listen. And when the customers come in, they tell us what they like or they don't like, we make adjustments. When the customer tells us what they don't like about the product, we collect all that information in a nice digestible format, and we get on the phone with the brand managers and the product managers, and we say, okay guys, this is gold. Don't take this personally, but here's the information that we need to work on when you guys reorder this product so we can take it to the next level. And so
Right.
there's a lot of that interaction with the brand. And when it's not always, Sergey, but when we can get a brand who just soaks that stuff up and takes it in and makes the adjustment, I mean, the results are mind-boggling. They're literally mind-boggling. They can't believe it when we start to make those adjustments.
Amazing. And I mean, you talked a lot about reviews and the value of reviews. Can you do the same process on social media and just replace reviews with comments, for example, on social media? Did you see that in any of the clients you work with?
You absolutely can. But I have to say this. Look, I do a lot of Amazon business. The customer's going to go and check your product out on Amazon anyway, so they're going to read the reviews there, and they may
Right.
come back to your Instagram and buy on your Instagram cart or on your own website. But look, reviews
But
on your own
Amazon is key,
website,
right?
Amazon's still key. I, I like to say we're sales agnostic. We
Hmm.
want you, the brand, to get sales wherever you can, and you should be wherever you can be and be
Hmm.
there in a meaningful way, in a proactive way, where you're protecting your brand, you're protecting the retail price, you're protecting the experience that your potential customers are having. And so, specifically to answer your question, absolutely the comments are important. And if you get a negative comment, it's really important, especially on social, to respond to that customer.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for giving us this information. We're going to send you a brand new one. You've helped us identify. We've taken this to our engineers. We're not going to let this happen again, and you've helped us become a better company. Thank you.
Right.
Maybe it was just a misuse or something like that, but it doesn't matter. The customer's always right, right? We're going to respond to them. We're going to thank them, and as long as potential customers can see that you as the brand care,
Right.
that's half the battle. But yeah, again, you need a product review. You're not going to get nearly as many product reviews on your own website as you're going to see on Amazon, but get what you can and nurture them. They're really, really important.
Absolutely. And I mean, product reviews are really important. And when you're starting out as a seller, I mean, there's always this problem with building sales history and building organic sales rank and getting those first reviews. What are some of the ways that you can get those first reviews when you have nothing yet?
Well, look, if you're talking about on your own website, that email communication is really important, and
Hmm.
being able to set up really great email sequences that will automatically send these requests for the customer to please leave a review. If you can incentivize them to leave a review by giving them a coupon on their next order or whatever for your own website, then you should do that. Now, you
Right.
can't incentivize an Amazon customer to leave a review, but that's one way. Uh, and look, I don't do this, but you can also do some of the I'm sorry, the companies where you can raise funds for your product to launch your product in the first place. um,
The
Help me out.
Kickstarter?
Thank you. It's been a long week. Here we are on Friday afternoon. It's been a long
Yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah.
That you can start a Kickstarter program before you launch your product also, and now you've got a good core group of people who are invested in the success of your
Right.
business. Those folks can come in and leave reviews, and they'll leave honest reviews. And with that group, you can tell them, look, if you didn't like something, let me know. Let me see if I can fix it before the next reorder. Now on Amazon, there's a ton of ways where you can get product reviews now. There's one program called Early Reviewer Program that'll get you your first 5, And then there's another program that just opened up. It's on pause right now because we're right in the middle of the COVID crisis.
Right.
But the Vine program has been opened up to third-party sellers, and you can give away 30 of your products in exchange for a product review from Amazon's Vine Reviewer Network.
Oh, that's great.
It's great. I mean, because they're really restrictive in terms of what you can do you can't incentivize a review
Right.
on Amazon, but you can do this program, and clients that we were able to sign up before they paused it during the COVID outbreak are seeing really big benefits.
Great, great. That's great stuff. And I just want to finish our conversation on social media. I mean, your e-commerce business Facebook page was enormous. I think it was like 11,000 likes, right? What were some of the ways that you used to grow that business account to that size? And I'm curious to know, to what extent did Facebook in itself contribute to your Amazon sales compared to other sales or traffic channels that you might have had?
So I'll start with the last question the last part of your question. I couldn't track it back then. Now you can track it. If you drive traffic from social media to your Amazon brand page, now you can know where that traffic came from. But we
Right.
never had that ability before I sold the company. This brand page metrics is brand new as of last year, and so we couldn't do it. But anecdotally, we could figure out, when we were doing big campaigns on Facebook or social, and we saw a lift in Amazon sales, we kind of thought, well, we didn't do anything else on Amazon, so it must be from what we did on social.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I have to tell you, Sergey, this is the best thing that we've ever done on social. And I believe, Instagram aside, if you're a skincare company or you're a supplements company, or you have if you're a beauty clothing, like a clothing line company, I think you can really have success selling products on Instagram. I think
Right.
those are three categories that really lend themselves well.
Well,
But
they're visually good, visually attractive, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And if you do a good job, you can get sales through those channels.
Right.
But with our categories, we were in home rec, we were in home fitness, we were in sporting goods. We had a lot of trouble converting sales on Facebook.
Hmm.
But so we, at one point in our history, we switched strategies, and this is the best strategy that worked for us. It was the best place to add to our customer email list.
Hmm.
And so we would do every month a monthly giveaway of an air hockey table or a foosball table. And then we would sign up Viral Launch. At that point, we were using BigCommerce as our front end. And we did the Viral Launch plugin to our app, and it's got one for Shopify as well. So anyone who signed up for the sweepstakes to win that foosball table, and you can imagine how many people signed up for those things.
Right. Right.
We needed to get your email address, and through Viral Launch, if those folks who signed up also got their friends to sign up, they would get an additional entry for more chances to win that foosball table.
Oh, I
And we
love
used
that.
to get tons of emails from those giveaways. And I recommend this. We do this with some clients. It still works. If your email sequences are tight, your retention series, your abandoned cart series, your welcome series, your acquisition series, if those email sequences are really tight, they're branded, it looks the same. It looks like the same brand as on your website, on your Amazon pages, and you're growing that contact list, you can really drive 25, 35, 40% of your sales through email. And you got those emails from social. That in my opinion is still to this day, with those exceptions, if you're not on Instagram in those three categories I mentioned, that to me is the best strategy period for social media.
And it's
And
always
it's
it's always funny to hear because, like, from my experience, what I see that email. I mean, it's one of the oldest marketing channels like ever, right? But I mean, it's still very important, and like
yes.
everybody uses it for content marketing and for Amazon sales. I wonder whether you can do the same thing that you mentioned with Facebook Messenger, for example.
Oh, you absolutely can. We're not as, we've been doing email forever. So we,
Right.
and we do email sequences for some of our clients. But Facebook Messenger for us is kind of like the next frontier.
Mhm.
It's like email on steroids.
Right.
Those
Right.
sequences that you do through
Your
Messenger
open
are
rates are just skyrocketing. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, look, I think they're going to plateau as more and more people start doing it and
Right.
people
Right.
turn off their Messenger, but it's like sort of the Wild West right now on the Facebook Messenger.
Right, but if
Those
like
who
on
know it
email,
well.
Yeah, on email is like 40% open rate is a good open rate, but like on Messenger it can be like 80%, which is crazy.
Absolutely. It's totally crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to your point about email, it's still the least sexy, most effective thing that you can do to drive sales to your website, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I highly encourage having it.
Yeah, and I mean like on Amazon because it's a platform that you rent, which we mentioned earlier. I mean, it's
That's
really
right.
important to own your audience, right? And to
Yeah.
have those email addresses that you can send messages to and send adverts to, and then drive traffic to your own website or other channels if you decide to diversify.
That's the
Yeah,
most valuable thing that you can do for your business, especially if you plan on exiting and selling your business at some point.
right. So you're just
Those
building
customers that you
assets.
own. Yeah,
Yeah.
building those customers that you own, make sure they're growing, make sure that they're converting, and you can't spend enough time doing that, and your valuation will grow, grow, grow.
Right, right. And I mean, we talked a lot about having more than one sales channel, more than one source of traffic. And I wonder when you have that, when you have Shopify, Amazon, Instagram, and you have traffic coming from different places like Amazon, social media, PPC, Facebook ads, how do you keep track of all of your sales and traffic and conversion rates and different metrics? Are there any tools or methods to do that? Or is it a
You know,
combination of different tools?
it's a combination of different tools. Most of my clients have their own sets of tools.
Mm-hmm.
I make recommendations. When I had my own business, as I mentioned, we were so old and started so early, there was no such thing as SaaS software. So we built our own tools, and we had
Right.
our own we had our own PIM, if you will, our own central database where we kept our products. And then we had our marketing, sort of user interfaces where we could see what's coming and going and what's converting and what's not. We used Google Analytics right up until the time we sold, and I still have access to most of my clients' Google Analytics to see what's happening there. Those tools just keep getting better. But yeah, it's tricky. It helps to be ADD. You need to have a little bit of attention deficit disorder, but it's tough to bring all that stuff together into one platform.
Right.
I haven't seen one platform that can do it all yet, but I mean, I'm sure it's coming. But that's, whoever figures that out is going to make a lot of money.
Right, right. Have you seen sellers on Amazon successfully use influencer marketing on Facebook or Instagram?
You know, I I've never been that successful doing it. However, I know that there are influencers out there that are Amazon specific,
Right.
and I know of some colleagues and some friends who've had a lot of success with working with influencers to drive traffic to their Amazon Associates pages, right? Their
Hmm.
affiliate pages, and
Hmm.
driving traffic that way. We used to dabble in my old business with with influencers, and we'd get a nice bump here or there, but
It's not sustainable.
I don't know that it's not sustainable. I think it is. I think the prices now compared to what it was when we were dabbling with it are, exponentially higher.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
it depends. I mean, I can't say that it's not spent. It really depends on your product line and your profit margins. Some people it works great. I was never good at it, and
If you want to get into influencer marketing, do you have to have your social media community in place, or can you use influencer marketing as like a separate tool or tactic to drive traffic to your Amazon listing?
again, I think the answer is it depends. I don't think you have to have those, and in some
Hmm.
cases, you can use influencer marketing to build up your own channels as well. You can drive traffic from those influencers to your different social channels or to your own
Right.
website
Right.
and capture them there after the
Right.
sale. So again, it's you know that's a really good question, Sergey. I don't know that I have enough good positive experience in that area to be able to share anything of any real value for your followers. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. That's more than enough. I actually have one more question for you, Jason.
Sure.
It's actually our traditional question that we tend to ask our guests. It's a question from Peter Thiel's book, Zero to One.
I love that
Um,
book.
yeah, love that book as well. What is your contrarian view that goes against the commonly accepted notions in the industry? Basically, what truth do very few people agree with you on?
Very little. I mean, there's plenty of people that agree with me on a lot, I think. I do think that um, you mentioned my quote at the beginning of the show, the next billion dollar
Right.
brand, and there are billion dollar brands out. Anchor's one. Anchor,
Right.
Anker. They're an Amazon company. That's how they started, and they did this beautifully. They they used the Amazon platform to their advantage. They took every opportunity to build their brand, and then they took it offline. They took it off Amazon, and
Oh,
they're an
wow.
enormous brand now. And so there's examples like that are out there already. I just think there are going to be more and more and more of them. And so this notion that you have to work for Procter and Gamble or Unilever or Johnson and Johnson in order to have success mainstream is just not true. You
Right.
can bootstrap a company if you're smart and you're dedicated to your story, to your brand, and focusing more on the end user customer than the buyers at these brick and mortar stores. If you focus on them and never lose focus on them, you can be a billion dollar brand too without having their funding to begin with.
Amazing, amazing. And I mean, yeah, I think that Amazon made more millionaires than like any other platform in history, which is just amazing. And whatever is happening on Amazon FBA right now, it's great. And I think it's very unprecedented.
I agree. There's plenty. Now they're making a lot of Chinese millionaires. They're adding a lot of Chinese sellers right now at the rapid rate. So it's a little bit of a concern to our seller community here in the United States and in the EU, because
Yeah,
I think those sellers provide an important protective layer between the factory and the end user customer. And
right.
maybe that's a story for another podcast. But look, I don't always agree with everything that Amazon does, and I hate them as much as I love them. But
Uh-huh.
there's a way to be successful, and the way to be successful is build your own brand, be authentic to yourself, and be authentic to your customers, and you can win there. You absolutely can.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you, Sergey.